Summer is definitely over. It is cold and rainy, and this is what we call in New York crappy weather. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. There's been a lot of strange things going on in the news the past couple days. I think a lot of people heard, it's almost about a month ago actually, that Elon Musk put out this tweet where he was talking about bringing Tesla private, buying back all the stock from the shareholders. And I found it weird that he was offering or suggesting that the stock buyback to take the company private would happen at $420 per share. The stock was at like $313 per share. I'm not a stock guy, I'm not an economist or any kind of financial expert by a long shot, but it's, $420 is a lot more than $313 or whatever the stock was at that day. And so I spoke to some people who are sort of experts, or more than sort of, actual experts, and they told me that this was a short squeeze, that Elon Musk was annoyed by people who were selling the stock short, people who were betting that the price would go down, and that his offer to buy stock at $420 was intended to upset the short sellers, and he even went as far as saying that he had the financing secured, which is very specific language in the business world, and it has triggered an SEC investigation because you're not supposed to do that. So I found that quite strange. And then I saw this article in Market Watch, I think, which was saying that, the short sellers were up just shortly after. And I noticed this was weird. The article came out, this thing was at 119, which was a pretty obviously encoded 9.3, obvious to me and people who watch Crowdsource the truth. So that seemed weird. But then, even weirder, Elon Musk smoked weed with Joe Rogan.
I mean, it's legal, right?
It's totally legal.
Okay.
How does that work? Do people get upset at you if you do certain things? There's tobacco and marijuana in there. That's all it is. The combination of tobacco and marijuana is wonderful.
I don't really agree with Joe Rogan on that, but interesting that Elon Musk, in a very Clintonian way, did not inhale, it seemed. Now, I want to clarify. I like Elon Musk. I think he's an innovator and a really interesting guy. I like PayPal, although I must admit I think it's a better value for viewers of Crowdsource the Truth to sponsor the program through patreon.com, where they can enjoy exclusive programming. But I certainly don't have anything against Elon Musk. I just feel like he's a genius, He's a financial genius, he's a technology genius, and I'm like a dope compared to him, but I knew it was a terrible idea for the CEO of a publicly traded company to smoke weed with Joe Rogan on what I understand is the most popular podcast there is. So obviously millions of people are going to see that, and it was just weird to me that he put up that price for the private, to buy back the stock and take the company private at $420. $420 is like the code for weed. And then he smoked weed, and then, the stock really tumbled immediately after that. That was on September 6th that he smoked with Joe, and it was widely reported sort of later that day and the next day, and the stock went from like $379 to $260 or $230. It was like greater than 30% drop in a short time. So I don't know. I don't have any big conclusion as to why this would happen, but it just seems like weird stuff for Elon Musk to do. He's a genius. smoking weed on television with Joe Rogan is kind of stupid. Nothing against weed, but there've got to be, despite the fact that it is legal in California, there've got to be a lot of people who hold Tesla stock that don't think it's a good idea. And I think the CFO left, so I'm not sure what's going on with Tesla. I hope that company succeeds. I like the idea of electric cars and solar energy and everything. It's entirely possible that Elon Musk is just a super busy and kind of overworked, maybe stressed out guy who people make mistakes. I'm not trying to beat up on Elon Musk, but it offered the opportunity to make an interesting observation about whether Elon Musk or Robert Mueller are smoking, who's smoking more weed, which guy. And certainly, Robert Mueller's been doing some things that don't make any sense at all. His whole entire investigation, for one. And I wanted to share with people a clip from our show the other day. Before I get into that, the other strange thing that's come up, I wanted to clarify some things. There's been some misreporting. There's been some, frankly, pointed speculation that seems intended to sway people's opinions. There's been a lot of people attacking Dr. Corsi. And I think everybody knows that I have collaborated with Dr. Corsi and I hold him in very high regard. I like him. He's a nice man. He's always been nice to me. He's done a lot of great work in terms of revealing the forgery of Barack Obama's birth certificate. And if you doubt that, or you think I'm racist, I voted for Barack Obama, and I'm not saying anything about the man's race. I'm just saying that the PDF document that appeared on whitehouse.gov was a digital forgery. And I have seen no evidence that indicates anything other than that. Dr. Corsi was out front on that. He was working with Mike Zullo and Sheriff Arpaio to reveal that. He's written tons of books about Obama, like Good Night Obama and Obama Nation and Unfit for Command. A lot of things that I did not know when I voted for Barack Obama. You see the World Trade Center there in the distance. But thanks to Dr. Corsi, these facts have been revealed to us. And so when it comes to Robert Mueller doing things that make no sense or are stupid, that could be explained by him smoking a ton of ganja, but I don't think they let you be in the FBI if you do that. So let's talk about this for a second. Just the other day, the New York Times ran an article. I think it was Maggie Haberman wrote this article. Right away, she calls Dr. Corsi a conspiracy theorist in the headline, obviously smearing him, trying to damage his reputation. That's not said in a positive tone. And she repeats it again right in the body of the article. It's talking about how Dr. Corsi was subpoenaed and was to testify in Robert Mueller's investigation to a grand jury. Now, I wasn't able to reach Larry Klayman today because Larry obviously knows a lot more about this stuff than I do. I am under the impression that grand jury proceedings are secret. And I'm also aware that Larry had a recent FOIA lawsuit against the special counsel's office, which Larry initiated because he suspected they were illegally leaking grand jury information, something that this Maggie Haberman article would seem to increase the suspicious nature of that. It's possible that is happening. I don't know, but it's possible. How did the New York Times know that Dr. Corsi was to testify at that grand jury hearing? Now, of course, the Washington Compost on Friday, they stood outside there and I guess spoke to Dr. Corsi's lawyer, and they call him Mr. Corsi, so that speaks to the accuracy of the Washington Post. But of course, Randy Credico appeared and testified before the grand jury, And Dr. Corsi's lawyer said that he would not be appearing that day, and there are some extremely unscrupulous and unreliable, I don't know if we can call them reporters, they're YouTube personalities, who are trying to cast some kind of doubt over this and trying to make it look like Dr. Corsi is in some jeopardy. I mean, this is normal and to be expected. I do want to share a clip from the intelligence assessment with Kevin Shipp, and that's a show that's available exclusively only on Patreon. And Larry joined Kevin and I, Larry Klayman, of course, joined Kevin and I the other night, and I want everybody to listen to what Larry said.
Regarding, lastly, the special counsel guidelines, Larry, as you know better than I, they have got to be narrowly focused on the exact crime, and the special counsel is not to depart from that crime, in this case, Russia collusion. That train has left the rails. He is all over the place, investigating and charging people with what is essentially tax evasion and should have been handled by the IRS. He has left collusion. He has left the regulations, the rules for special counsel, and he is off the rail.
Excuse me for interjecting, but
crime.
That's what I was going to say. Larry, you've told me many times it's not even a crime.
It's well accepted. This is a counterintelligence investigation, and there is no crime. It's in search of a crime, and that's improper. And consequently, that's why Trump needs to legally challenge the authority of Robert Mueller. Now, Jerry Corsi, who I know quite well, he's a good guy. He is before the grand jury apparently today. And I was hoping that Jerry would challenge the subpoena that was issued to him. They're looking for information about Roger Stone, because that's one way you can take it up the line to get a court to rule that the investigation of Mueller is void, invalid. It goes beyond his authority. And in addition to that, there's another individual by the name of Andrew Miller, I believe it was, who also is an associate of Roger Stone. It's been reported recently that he's flipped. I don't know if that's the case or not. So somebody needs to come forward to challenge Mueller, to have standing, to get a court to rule that he has no authority to do what he's doing. And the president does have standing. I mean, he's been illegally wiretapped and surveilled.
Wow.
And that's one way to get into it, as you pointed out, Kevin.
You know, Larry,
Yeah.
I was speaking to Dr. Corsi yesterday, and if I'm not mistaken, he isn't going to the hearing until tomorrow. Perhaps I should call him and share this information with him.
Yeah, I talked to him, too. In fact, I've lost track of time, guys. I've been working so hard. For some reason, I thought today was Friday. Right.
Yes, tomorrow is when Dr. Corsi will be speaking
Right.
with the special counsel. So we could hear from that exchange what Larry and Kevin were speaking about is really important. People can watch that entire episode only on Patreon. And if you become a sponsor of Crowdsource, The Truth, or Kevin Shipp, or Freedom Watch, you can watch that really informative segment about how Robert Mueller's investigation is in fact illegal. And just to reiterate what Larry was saying there, he wanted, or he was hoping, that Dr. Corsi and his legal team would challenge Robert Mueller's subpoena. So Larry is the real deal. Larry is a huge expert in the area of not only studying the law, but the practical application of it, particularly in Washington, D.C. So instead of some, rambling, insane appearing, apparently, fake legal pundit who's busy writing fake lawsuits, Larry is a real lawyer with real insight into some of these things. And one of the things that I really like about Crowdsource The Truth is that unlike some of the news shows where Larry or other experts appear that only can provide a few minutes, where the expert can only present a short segment of what they have in mind, we spent an hour yesterday talking with Kevin and Larry, and both of those guys are just tremendously informed of all these legal issues and exactly how the FBI works in terms of trying to intimidate people. So I really don't think that anyone who is trying to make it look like Dr. Corsi is in some kind of legal jeopardy, I don't think they know what they're talking about, or either that, or they're deliberately trying to damage the doctor's reputation by saying a bunch of false and idiotic stuff about him on YouTube. So we really should question these people that are coming forward with this dubious information about Dr. Corsi. They like to take partially true information and twist it. That's all they ever do. So, you know, that's very interesting. And I do want to reiterate that I was texting with Dr. Corsi earlier today, and he has officially said he has no comment as yet. And my speculation is that that's what his legal team told him to say. Dr. Corsi is not some dope sitting around writing fake lawsuits. Dr. Corsi is a highly educated, extremely intelligent man with what is, I'm sure, an extremely competent legal team defending him. And, you know, Robert Mueller, I believe, is simply trying to intimidate anyone and everyone related to this case so that he can drain them of money, put pressure on them through the use of lawfare, to intimidate them, to try to stop them. Oh, I almost forgot the most important thing. Dr. Corsi is a journalist, as is Julian Assange, as is Randy Credico, the guy who was testifying. Randy Credico, as you may or may not know, had a talk show on WBAI, and he interviewed Julian.
Welcome back to the show, Joe.
Good day, Randy.
It's great to have you back on.
So the notion that Robert Mueller's special counsel investigation is intimidating journalists like Roger Stone, like Dr. Corsi, like Randy Credico, and the people that support that intimidation are people that you should be questioning. You should question everything they say, because these people seem to be either so misinformed as to approach incompetence, certainly irresponsibility to be reporting such information, or they might be deliberately trying to mislead.